Welcome to Season 2, Episode 20 of the Cohesive Home Podcast.
So today we wanted to talk about something that is really near and dear to our hearts, and that's raising adventurous kids through travel. Travel is something that pushes our kids and ourselves out of our comfort zones and really helps us realize a more courageous and confident version of who we are as a family.
For my family, we really kind of started our traveling when we went to Europe. And for us, the transformation that took place within that year is something that I really almost can't put words to. We learned things that we would not have learned if we had stayed in the U.S. And it really, it transformed my family into something more than just the five of us. It was an actual unit.
I remember, Melissa, when you all moved back from Germany and just how different you were. Like what a transformation that was from before you left to when you came back. And your kids just seemed so much more confident and self-assured. They had become at home in the world, which is just so cool.
Yes, that is a very good way to put it. The confidence that they gained, and as well as myself, but the confidence that they gained in experiencing brand new things. I kind of put it this way, whenever if you have kids and you're listening and you send your kids maybe to your parents' house for the weekend or for a week even, who knows how long, but you're gone for just a little bit of time and you come back and you're like, my kid's like bigger. My kid seems like more just happy and like confident. And it's because the different experiences, it was a change from the day to day. It was different experiences that have changed your child for the good, hopefully for the good. And in our case, it was no different. I mean, that year was filled with daily walking, daily exploring and travel. And that was through our sights, but it was also through our taste buds. And I feel like that is definitely a major way that we transformed our life. I keep saying the word transformed.
Transformed. Well, okay, so what do you think it is, Melissa, about, maybe like trying new foods from a different culture that can be so impactful, especially for children?
Well, kind of the same principle, something different from the norm. They are, their senses, all their senses are changed. They are experiencing a different taste. They're seeing something that looks different. And their brain tells them this is not going to be good because it looks really weird. But, my kids now, they eat curry. That's something that we had never eaten before. But you find a recipe that your kids can like, and now we eat it all the time. So
yeah,
I think, go ahead.
Well, and especially, in your case, you were staying in other people's homes for part of your travels.
Yes.
And so there's really no place for being picky eaters.
There's not. And that is something that we really had to be on top of them before we even would sit down to dinner. It's like, look, you may not like this, but you have to be respectful and you need to try it. And 9 times out of 10, they loved it. So for instance, I don't know. I really, really love the fact that if your kids are either A, making the food, or B, they see where it came from, they are going to be more likely to try it and to possibly like it. So for instance, farmers markets in France, fish abound, especially on the seaside. Fish are everywhere. And my kids got to see our friend Lise go up to the fish merchant and say, in French, beautiful French. Anyway, she wanted a fish and she wanted that fish. And they were like, it still has its eyes. And that was good for them to see that. It was good for
Oh, yeah.
me to see that. Like, I had never bought a fish with eyeballs before. So in that experience, they're seeing this food and where it comes from. And it was just wonderful.
Well, and especially, if you didn't grow up having those experiences yourself, at least now as an adult, you're getting to experience this with your children and see these places and these foods through totally new eyes.
I was really lucky in my childhood. We didn't travel to any like exotic lands. We didn't go to Europe. The furthest we went was Cancun during spring break, which was when I was 12, that's a whole nother podcast.
Wow. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Oh, the stories. No, but yeah, I mean, that's the furthest we ever went as a family. But no matter where we went, whether it was Florida or Connecticut, wherever, we always explored through food. That is one thing my parents taught me. You explore through food. So for my family, I'm very, very grateful that like my husband is also a big proponent of that. When we stayed in France, another family that we stayed with, they were pig farmers. They are butchers. They raise the pig from seed to sausage is what they say. And we were able to see where our meat was coming from. We were able to see the entire process. They also have dairy farmers there, so we're able to see that process. I mean, I'm preaching the choir here. I'm sure a lot of you listening right now, you enjoy that. You probably have taken your kids to a dairy farm or whatever. You have plans to. Showing your children the process is huge for them in trying new things. But while we were there, he made something. It was foie gras. I can never say it right. Foie gras. Brandon, say foie gras. Foie gras. But it was this thing, and he had the big torch, but because it was, what was it? It was the foie gras, but it was creme brulee, but it was a foie gras brulee.
It's like a riddle.
It was the hardest thing to say ever. Oh my gosh, Kate. It was literally the best thing I've ever eaten in my entire life. And my kids got to see the process, and they got to see the flame, and they saw all of these things, and they got to see the chicken that he killed for our dinner. I didn't see them kill it, but they were able to see these things. They picked the prunes off of the tree and made the dessert. So anyway, I'm rambling, but
no,
it is all of these things
it's
that they experience through food.
Yeah.
And
it's so rare to be part of the food process, at least in the United States, and I'm sure other parts of the world, we tend to be so removed from our food. And so it's so amazing that your family had those experiences.
Yeah, it almost makes me kind of cry. I mean, like, there's not enough wine in the world, I think, to make me to make it feel better. It's life changing. And so I think allowing your children, no matter, and I will say, being back in the States, like you said, it is so hard to find these experiences at home, which brings us to why we're talking about traveling and how to explore through these situations.
Well, yeah, and my husband Kirk and we are big foodies. And our kids really have become as well. We've tried to introduce them to a lot of different types of food, but something that we've really encouraged within our family is seeing new places. Growing up, we traveled a little bit. We would go to the same cabin in Wisconsin every summer, and my parents were big Disney fanatics, so we went to Disney World a lot. And I'm so grateful for those experiences, but I grew up feeling like, wow, I have not seen very much in this world, and I want to. And so that's something we're trying to do as a family. This summer, we took a big road trip and we went out west to California. We went to Yosemite and Sequoia National Park, and we saw all these parts of the country that just I mean, like absolutely blew my mind. You know, like traveling through southwestern Utah and seeing all the red rock, and it just felt like a different planet. And those are experiences that I really hope are going to be just cemented in my kids' minds and help shape them as people.
They're life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
They're life-changing experiences. But, I mean, I will say, I hope this isn't discouraging to anyone who may not be able to take a long trip.
Mm-hmm.
And this doesn't mean that you can't just go someplace in your own town or even the town next to you.
Right.
It's just traveling and utilizing what you have available to you.
You know, Melissa, I mean, you're aware of this, but we spend a lot of time going to state parks just within a couple hours of where we live.
Exactly. I'm glad you said that.
Yes. And it's still, you still have that same kind of experience where, you know, we're somewhere new and we tend to do hard things. So, you know, like we'll go hike or we'll encourage the girls to climb a tree or, you know, climb a sand dune or whatever it is and to step outside their comfort zone. So you can have those experiences close to home. You don't have to go to Europe. Although if you can, you know, more power to you.
Oh, I'd be there now if I could.
Right.
No, but yeah, well, so when we came and visited you this summer, I mean, we went across state lines over to Michigan, which is just 45 minutes away.
We're lucky.
So cool. You're so lucky. You're just like in just the middle of this prime area. But, you know, we crossed the border and you go over to this wonderful little place that has these awesome dunes and this beautiful, you know, ocean-esque lakefront, and you're transported somewhere else and you get to experience something, you know, that they wouldn't in their own backyard. So
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, we want to encourage you to raise your kids to be adventurous, to be curious, to seek and explore the world around them, because it's through those experiences that they grow as individuals and become the adults, you know, that they will be someday.
Well, and we have to be examples. We have to be the example. I sometimes, like if I meet somebody and they say, oh, you know, my parents grew up and we always had this garden and we had all these things, and I'm like, my parents were great, but like we didn't have that, you know.
Right.
And I think if I can be that example to my kids by being adventurous in food, and, you know, for you guys, you're adventurous with the places that you go and the travel that you do, that's going to rub off.
Yeah.
And it is going to pay off in the future.
I agree. I mean, you know, Melissa, I have been a very fearful person in the past. I get scared. I can talk myself out of just about anything. And so, you know, going to these state parks and national parks has been a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I try to keep my girls in mind. I want them to get dirty. I want them to explore new places, and they're not going to do it if mom is sitting home too afraid to leave and go out and explore.
Well, and we had recently on our blog, we had a writer that talked about just that.
Yeah. Turning
that fear into, you know, actually traveling and doing, she left that fear behind, and they're living on a boat now.
Yeah, that was, I absolutely loved that article so much. And I think it's because it totally resonated with me. And so if you haven't read that yet, it was by Brittany, and her Instagram is @family@sea. And, you know, go read it and be encouraged.
Yes, definitely. And, you know, just to touch on being examples again.
Yeah.
If we're not examples, I'm pretty sure that at some point our kids are either going to grow up being super boring, or they're going to revolt and they're going to go to Burning Man.
I mean, if that's your cup of tea,
unless you love Burning Man, maybe that's where they're traveling to. Maybe there are some families listening, that's what they do. And
probably,
that's okay.
Probably, you know.
Hopefully people to just unsubscribe from us because they just dogged on Bernie.
Kate and Melissa are very uptight. No,
I can
but
edit that out. Well, Kate, put us back on track.
oh shoot. Yeah, but like as Melissa said, we want to be those examples. We're going to not keep harping on that because we know that you know that. We know that you are already trying to try new things with your kids and figure out what you value as a family and then make that happen. And when you do that, it will create such a tight bond within your family. And it will absolutely, as Melissa's favorite word is, it will transform your family.
Isn't my new favorite word?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it's true. It really will. It'll make you a cohesive home is what it will do. Oh, just like I did that.
That was beautiful. Absolutely. So, parting words, just get outside your comfort zone. Try something new, whether it's 45 minutes from your house or halfway around the world. Just get out and do it.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you haven't already, please, please, please subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, sign up for our updates on our website at cohesivehome.com. And we will see you next time.